Hey everyone, TD here, and this is our guide for Mimiron, 25-man on hard mode in Ulduar. Whew, this was a rough fight. Mainly just because of all the things going on. You start the fight in hard mode by pushing the big red do not push button, which initiates self-destruct mode. This gives Mimiron and all his minions a damage and health buff, and also initiates a 10-minute countdown to self-destruct, which is basically Berserk. Now when you start the fight, you'll first have to fight the Leviathan tank, which does a good bit of damage to its main target. Also, there is tons of fire on the ground, which doesn't hurt a lot, but it will add up over time if you stand in it. It throws mines on the ground everywhere as well that don't do a ton of damage, but enough damage. The big ability you need to watch out for is Shock Blast, which will still hit you for around 100,000 damage if you don't run out of melee range of the Leviathan. So you do want to run out. If you're not taking much damage and you want to push it to get the extra DPS to beat the enrage timer, you can go ahead and soak it, but it's all about what you're comfortable with. Now, once you get the Leviathan down, which doesn't take too long, you'll start a whole other phase of the fight, which we'll get into here as soon as we finish up this phase. Another part that kind of sucks about the enrage timer is every time you kill a piece, he pops out and has one of these little roleplay sequences where he just kind of talks and goes on, but your countdown timer is still going even though he's just standing there wasting your time and there's no way for you to speed it up. So it's actually quite annoying because he wastes a good bit of time that way. See this? Just wasting our time here. And the fire continues to spread around the floor while you're waiting too, so that makes things even more painful. Okay, this next part is what will end up being his torso, the VX001. This one, the main thing that you have to watch out for is his turret cannon sweep ability that he does. It's kind of a pain. It's really easy to avoid because it has a long cast time and he points in the direction that he's going to start. So you have plenty of time to get to the other side, but if you don't, it does like 20,000 damage every quarter of a second that you're in it. So 100,000 damage per second that you're in it. So even at 90, that's a few seconds and you're almost dead. So the laser barrage you definitely want to get far away from. Now beyond that, you won't take too much damage in this phase of the fight. It's mainly just really avoiding all the stuff everywhere. Avoid the frost bombs, avoid the fire on the ground, don't get caught in the laser barrage, and just try to DPS through this phase as fast as you can, because you are racing against that self-destruct timer. Now with as long as this fight is, you actually can use, if you have some 3 to 5 minute cooldown abilities that you want to use right at the beginning of the fight to try to push through it faster, I would definitely recommend doing that, just because you will more than likely come to right at the self-destruct time, whether you get it right before or right after. Unless you have high item level and you manage to burn through them quicker. We actually finished killing him after the self-destruct, so you will get to see what happens there. And it is survivable. It's not like it is in current raids where Berserk and it just one-shots everybody. So if you do happen to get close to the Berserk timer, you don't have to give up and say, oh, it's just going to be a wipe. There is a chance to still finish him off. The first time we tried him, when we had the most trouble with him, we actually were probably 30 seconds or more into self-destruct and we're still alive, so... Okay, now we're on to the third phase, where you will see Mimiron's flying head, the aerial combat vehicle thing. This one is a pain for melee. I had a really hard time. The first time we did this, I tried to get underneath him and hit him, and I really couldn't. I could hit him with a few things, but not much. So the melee here will basically be dealing with these assault and junk bot ads that come out, and then helping DPS the aerial command vehicle whenever they can. Which, depending on your class, every class that'll probably be doing this will have at least a couple things that they can throw up into the air and hit them with, but otherwise it's really good to have one of the two people with you as a ranged DPS to deal with them. You're going to continue to have to watch out for all the fire on the ground everywhere. You can hear my GTFO add-on just going nuts because of the fire everywhere. But there are emergency fire bots out trying to get the fire out, and unfortunately they are attackable, so I ended up killing them just doing my AoE on the other ads. But it happens. The fire doesn't do a ton of damage. It's like 35 to 4,000 damage every tick, so it's not a ton, but over time it will add up, so if you can avoid it, you definitely want to. But you want to get all these ads down, you want to make sure that you have all of them down before he gets into the final phase. Oh, and yes, he also does a silence. He shoots a plasma ball thing that will silence you, so that's another annoyance that you have to deal with, especially if you're a caster. But even for most classes, like with my monk, it disables my chi wave and my rushing jade wind, so it does cause a minor annoyance. But once you get them down, you want to clean up these ads and get ready for the final phase, and this is where you need to have all your cooldowns ready. Now you have to fight all three at once. They're going to form into one giant robot, and just like most other boss fights that have this mechanic, all three need to be destroyed at the same time, because if you destroy one, it starts repairing, and if you don't get the other two down in time, it'll repair to full, and if that happens, it's basically a wipe, because you have to start all over again. Now, Deadly Boss Mods does monitor their health, so you want to keep an eye on, make sure that they're going down evenly. If you are doing a makeup like ours, where you have a melee and a ranged, you want to have your ranged concentrate on the head and the midsection while you focus on the bottom, so that way you can... It's a little bit easier that way, because melee won't be able to hit the upper levels of him very easily. I kept my rushing jade wind up because that seemed to be the best ability I had that would actually hit the head and middle section consistently. So another big thing you have to watch out for is a missile attack that they do. This is a one-shot ability. It creates a red rune on the ground where it's going to land, but with all the fire everywhere, it's really hard to see sometimes. And this hits for like 5 million damage. There is no surviving this attack unless you use something like Ice Block or Cheat Death or something that to that degree, but otherwise it will one-shot you, so you do need to try to watch out for it. And I actually didn't. I was watching out for it, but there was one right on me that I didn't see. Right there, you could see it. It was directly underneath him, and by the time I saw it and tried to jump out of the way, it was too late, and it hit me for almost 4 million damage. So I died, and I actually thought we were going to wipe, because we were 15 seconds away from self-destruct, and she was alone to fight all three. But She perseveres. And which is why I say now, don't give up if you hit self-destruct. Because as you can see right here, self-destruct is going off. It will do quite a bit of damage to you, but you will still be able to survive it and continue on to finish him, especially if he's almost gone. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed and thought the video was helpful, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll be getting more of these Ulduar videos up soon.